Hello, everybody. I'm live. I'm here. And we're going to discuss the first part of the class. I used to be a teacher at one point. It's another job I had. I will be talking about dowsing and just some real basics on dowsing. I got a few dowsing questions. There's always a few questions when you talk about dowsing, but dowsing I'm going to kind of wait till a few more people show up. I did get a few questions into what's going on today and to answer today, and I'm hoping to get to those. And I'm sure I'll get to those because there aren't that many. And hi, Fake Hole. Hi, Marianne Stitkus. And hi, Christy. I got your question. I'll answer it. And Mary, you're piling in. Sharon Sipe, yay! The Wisconsin wizard of keeping us safe. So what's going on today? Well, happy birthday to everybody. This is a big month for people. If it's your birthday month, even if it's not your birthday month. I'll tell you one thing I have been up to, and this is kind of a Nancy filling time. But I worked an open public event. It was in a sculpture garden in downtown Dallas, and it was on a night when they open all the museums in downtown Dallas. Once a month, they open them up till midnight, and you can come in for free, and it's just a wonderful thing. And I know when Susan was younger, my husband and I used to go down to it a lot. It's really a lovely event, and this particular garden event was open to the public, and they had a jazz band, which they didn't kind of tell me that when we set it up, but it's okay. Anyway, we get there, and I walk and I see this whole band set up at one end of the garden, and I go, where do you have us set up as readers? There was another lovely woman there named Emily. If I can get her to come on Psychic Profiles, I'll get her to. Anyway, they said, oh, you're right over here. Well, they had us right by the band. Well, the reason they did is because that's where the most light was. They thought it'd be easier for us to read. Well, we could see the cards and we could see the people to be read, but we could not be heard if we were that close to the band. And this is a thing I normally, back in the old days when I used to do lots of public events, somebody just put something up there. I had to think about it twice. I'll get to your question, Marianne. So you can't really read with the band sitting sort of in the middle of your table. You end up yelling at people. So we had to read for 3 hours. They moved us as far away from the band as they could while giving us enough light to be able to read the cards. And from the second I sat down at 6 o'clock to start reading until 9 o'clock when they pulled us out, but they were going to stay, the band was going to stay till 11. And I was more than happy to leave. But I will tell you, I know there's some readers watching this. As you know, when you read cards and you're reading about other people's lives, the universe is going to pull towards you people who have the same issues or ideas or potential outcomes as you have. Like when I was going through my divorce and my custody battle for my kids, I was working some psychic fairs, and every woman that came up to my table had been divorced, was getting divorced, was in a custody battle, had lost a custody battle, was about to get into it. I mean, I thought, I'll have a weekend off and read cards and get away from this. I couldn't. I mean, it was like, no, you can't escape it. So, and sometimes that's like that weekend, it was a little bit, oh my God, I don't want to talk about this anymore. The first person that sat down and I read her, she looked across the table at me and she said, do you have a tape recorder in my therapist's office? And I said, no, but, and she said, because you're telling me everything she's been telling me. And I said, apparently you weren't listening because the universe is making sure you're hearing it again. But the other thing I saw a lot of is I saw lots of suns, the sun card, which I think is the best card in the deck, and a lot of the world, things coming. We're finishing out a cycle. You're going into something new. A lot of really bright looking things happening for people in their readings. And a lot of people, I mean, I cannot tell you, more than 70% of the people that I read were having, the change was happening this month. It had already started. They weren't aware of it. It was happening this month. So I kind of looked at it and I went, okay, so I've got a lot of changes. And sun, I'll take the sun, I'll take the world, I'll even take transformation, which in the traditional deck is death. But I'll even take that card if, we're moving on. And boy, are we moving on, because it was such a cross section of people. It was young people. It was matrons from the suburbs. It was not older people, because you kind of got to sit in the ground there. And I don't think a lot of us want to sit in the ground. But there were a lot of, I only did 3 kids, and they're kind of funny. And then I'll get to your questions. 2 little boys came running up and they go, oh, we want to have our cards read. And I said, where's your mom? So the one kid went back, got the mom, and mom showed up. And I said, I won't read a child without their parents' permission. And she said, oh, that's so good of you. And she said, sure, they can go. So the first little boy wanted to know if he was going to make it in the NBA. And I put out a 5-card yes, no. And guess what the answer was? But the kid, it showed the kid was really smart. And I said, your dad will let you join teams and he'll even help coach, but he wants you to, he keeps talking to you about getting your further education. He goes, yeah, he wants me to be a lawyer like he is. And I said, well, think about it, but you don't have to do that. But I said, you've got a really good mind, so don't waste it, spend it. So the other little boy wanted to know if he was going to make it in the world of soccer. And he was even tiny and skinnier than the first kid. And I kind of looked at him, and he was a no. And I said, I'm going to ask another question about what you should do with soccer. And it was, he loves the game. He loves the strategies. He loves running around the field. He loves being with the other kids. I said, just go play soccer and see where it goes. And he goes, well, maybe if I work at it hard enough. I said, work at it as hard as you want, but you just need to go play. Just go play and be a kid. And so they kind of went, okay. And then the third child, I thought, this little sweet little girl in a really cute little top with little pigtails and bows in her hair. And her mother came with her, and her mother said, you can read her, that's fine. And she said, I'm going to leave you alone so she can ask whatever question she wants. I said, okay. So I look at the sweet-faced little girl, and she looks up at me and she goes, when am I going to die? And this was not what I was expecting. This kid's like between 8 and 10 years old, I would gather. And I said, that's not what I do. I said, there are parts of the metaphysical world where they claim they can help you with this, but that would not be me. You got to pick what we can do. And I said, we'll read your cards. So I read her cards and what has happened to her in this year going into school. She's been great in school. And her mom verified, she's been a straight A student. This year she got a teacher in her favorite subject, but she really doesn't like the teacher. And I told her, I looked at her and I said, well, okay, honey, let's look at it this way. I wish I could tell you there's a card I could pull that would make sure that all the people you don't like in your life that you're going to have to work with will go away, blow up and be gone. But that's not going to happen. And I said, you really like this subject. It's not like it's a subject you don't like and you have a witchy person teaching you. It's, you just don't like her. And she said, well, I know more than she knows. And I And I laid a couple cards on one of the wisest card here. Oh, this child is such an old soul. And she had been a mathematician in a prior life. And she knows this woman doesn't understand mathematics nearly as well as she does. And I looked at the kid and I said, she makes you write out all the steps to solving your problems. And she goes, why do I have to do that? I know what the answer is. And I felt like, oh my God, I'm meeting a mini me, because that's how I was. I could not stand it when they made you write all the steps to finish out your answer. When I knew, take it from here, go to here, and I had my answer. And I understand why they do it. So if you don't have the right answer, you can go figure out why. But anyway, I looked at her and I said, okay, honey, you're really good at math, and you're always going to be really good at math. And you just have that turn of a mind. But what you need to do is do the very best you can do with the subject, even if this woman doesn't know what you know. Show her how to do it. Be better than what's going on in that classroom. And she said, I never thought about that. And I said, because hurting yourself by getting bad grades isn't going to hurt her. Trust me, adults don't work that way. And she said, yeah. So anyway, her mom came down and talked to me for a minute. And I figured out why she asked about when was she going to die. She knows she's going to be reborn. She admitted as much to me. She said, I'll just come back. She's already got that figured out. She's one of those kids. And I said, all that being true, you need to finish out where you are. And her mother said, thank you, because she said she's having so much trouble with this one teacher. And I said, I had teachers like that. I had teachers that were so bad. When I was in junior high, I had 2 classes that I was not allowed in their classroom. I had to spend it in the library. But I still had to take the tests and pass the subjects. And it was like, punish me more. Throw me in the library again. Anyway, so that was kind of fun. And then I did one thing I've never done before. In all the years I've been reading, I read a young couple. I read her first, and then I read the guy second. And I was doing Celtic crosses, what's going on around you for the next 3 months. And both of them had the same 4 cards as their in cards. Where you are today, what helps or hurts you, what's behind you, what's your long past life, and what's immediately behind you. And the guy looked at me and he goes, those are the same cards my girlfriend got. And I said, honey, you're shocked. I've been doing this since forever. I've never had that happen before. And the deal is they're both in the same situation. They both need to grow up and get out of their parents' house. And they both have the wherewithal to do that. But because of, you know how families can work you and say, oh, no, you can't leave yet. My family wasn't like that. My family's, oh, no, you can't come home. But other people's are like, oh, no, you can't leave yet. So anyway, by the time they left the table, they both agreed that by the end of the year or in January, they needed to be out on their own, doing their own thing. So it was a real interesting night. And I enjoyed them not as much as I enjoy all of you. So now we're about to do y'all's questions. And we have 3 of them. Is it a good idea for me to try to move to Seattle in the near future? Will I have a good job opportunity there? Thank you. Okay, I can do this with the pendulum. Y'all won't think I'm going crazy. I had everything all packed up, so I had to move my whole desk, and now today I had to reconstruct my whole desk. So let's see. I'm going to put us in the garden, in not my garden that you're used to seeing, but in this garden, the Dowsing garden. This is the one Danny and I did about 4 years ago. Yes, it's a little more, maybe 4 years ago. And okay, I'm going to ask my questions first. Do I have permission to douse? Am I aligned with my higher self? And am I fully protected while I'm doing these readings? Okay, so yes, so I can go ahead and read you. Yay! What fun. Okay, let's see. And your question is it a good idea for you to move to Seattle? Yes, that's a very plain yes. And then, will you find the job opportunity you want there? Yes. I had a funny feeling when I was doing that one. Will there be an interim job opportunity when you first move there? That says maybe. That's between yes and no. And that's what I was sensing. You may go there with one job in mind and you may end up with another one, but that's fine. So I'd say go for it, girl. Okay, Catherine. Okay. She wants to know, I'm looking forward to this show. Is it necessary to program a pendulum? When I use the dowsing garden, I'm envisioning that I have a yes and a no access, and I have other information I can pull from it. There is a way, I'm trying to get you out of the picture, that you can say, okay, over your own hand, put your hand on it. You get the stone still, and you go, which way is yes? Okay. For me, yes on that chart happens to be where my normal yes would be. Okay, now, which way is no? No is left to right for me. And that's been since the first time I ever dowsed. So when you get a pendulum, try it out. I've never had one that didn't work that way for me, but I have friends that certain forms work one way and certain forms work another. So I just check your yes and no. And what does a maybe look like for me? And that's true. When I get a real maybe and it's not decided, it will do circles. That's as close as I ever come to programming pendulums. Now, there are people that have pendulums. This is the one I use when I work with Alma's past life garden, because she sent it with it. It's a beautiful black obsidian crystal. And this is a crystal. This is a pendulum. It's a little quartzy crystal. And it's a rutilated quartz crystal wrapped with wire. And this one, it's on what they call a paperclip chain. Now, if you have problems with these sorts of chains getting all mixed up, these little loopy chains, this one's not so bad. But this one gets all tied up in knots all the time. Paperclip chain won't knot. So if you're looking for a chain to attach it to, and in this case, it came as a pendulum swinger thing. So, so that's, and can you program things for health or whatever? Okay, we're going to get to this. Christy, I promise I'm going to get your question. Quit jumping up and down. Okay, here's another yes, no sort of chart. And this sort of tells you how much time. Yes, you can get a strong yes, a yes, yes. And you can read with something like this. Now, if you read with this, tell your pendulum you want to read off the information on this chart. This I got from the Subtil, the company in France that supports charts. This is a chart I'm using right now because someone has hired me to check out the property her house is on and figure out a way to build 4 pillars. In other words, 4 sort of, they're not really crystal grids, they're clusters of crystals. I'm going to give her one for each corner of her property and a couple of entrances. And I've been using this to figure out the yin and the yang on her property. And when I work with it, I say, that's what we're doing, guys. Now, this is my favorite chart to work with. And this is when a lot of people say, do I have elves? Do I have brownies? Do I have moss people? Do I have guardian trees, guardians of the forest, lady of the forest, or lord of the forest? And then you can say, okay, I'll do a quick reading with this. Okay. What elementals are around me right now? Brownies. Brownies are moss people. So those are like fairies. And okay. And how are they feeling about me right now? You got friendly, neutral, grumpy, and bugger off. They're pretty neutral with me right now. They're leaving me alone. They're trying to let me sleep and rest and get better. But they're here, and I can feel them, that they're around me. I did get bugger off once when I was bothering Cecil. He had stuff, my dragon, he had things he needed to do. So there's all these and so before I worked with this chart, and I've done it so much, I can just think it in my mind. I'm working with this chart. Tell me what it needs to tell me. And the other one, you can get charts for food. You can get charts for, okay, emotions in your body. And this is one a lot of people have. Okay. Say, for a person, not me, don't snitch out on me, pendulum. For a person out there, what part of me is being bothered right now? What's causing me a lot of problems? Spleen or stomach? Okay. And how is that expressing itself within me? It's right between anxiety and despair. And I'm sure there are a lot of people right now that do feel anxiety and despair. But you can use this if you're working with your chakras. This tells you it's your solar plexus that's screwed up. This tells you your lungs. This tells you it's your heart or your small intestine, which is your sacral chakra. Anyway, these are different ways you can use pendulums. Do we need to program them? You should get used to them. This is a pendulum that's a very untraditional one. It has every kind of a rock that represents every chakra. And this was custom made for me 55 years ago. So no wonder it and I get along so well. That's why I occasionally use these guys, because I haven't worked with them as long. And it says, yes, you haven't worked with me enough. How angry are you that I don't work with you more? Getting pretty out there. But there's only so many things you can do at a time. I did go today and look at crystal pendulums on Amazon, because I used to get a pendulum group there. There are 3 pendulums in the bag, a wooden one, a metal one, and a crystal one. And you can kind of check out. Well, they're not available anymore because apparently they came from India. So there's a lot. You can buy wooden ones on their own, metal ones on their own, and crystal, lots of crystal pendulums. The prices I saw on Amazon today were just incredible. Apparently people aren't buying pendulums like they used to. And I would suggest, if you have the funds to do it, or you can go to a woo-woo store in your area that sells the different kinds, see which sort works with you. Because some people do work, when I work with the elementals, I use the wood pendulum, but my packet of 3 pendulums disappeared off my desk. So I think my little friends that like to rearrange my desk have done it again. Okay, Christy, we're going to go to your question next, and then we'll go back and do some more stuff on grids if you want it. If I happen to have any success with my new, okay, first of all, Go tell John, the John who's asking this is Christy's husband. Go tell John that's bad neurolinguistic programming. It's when I have success with my new album, which song might be the best to be interpreted and of what kind of topic. So we're going to see if he's misjudging the success of the album. And you can't see it, but I try to put my elbow firmly on the table so that I can stabilize my arm so I can get the crystal as close to steady as possible. Okay. First part of the question. And it'll swing around for me for a minute. Will I have success with this album? Yes, you are going to have success with this album. So quit saying if I happen to have and all that other crap you're saying. John will have success with this album. Will there be one breakaway song for John on the album? That's pretty much that's not a no. It's not a yes. I'm going to start the swinging. Could John have a breakaway song in this album? No, it's just going to be a really good album. So then I'm going to ask, I don't know how to do it with the grids, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to ask away from the grids and with the camera. It's me again. I'm going to ask the cards if there's a specific topic that John should look to be a part of this album. And for those who I just made very sick by switching cameras, I'm going to do it again, so don't look. Okay, we're switched. Okay. Is there a topic, and can the cards reveal to me what that topic would be? Okay. The topic would be, and these are the 5 cards, and I'm sorry they don't fit on here better. It's because I need to scrunch my junk up. This is about facing difficulties and then the people that rally around you and help you. That's what you need to write about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be about your lady that's in your life, but it means it's going to be a real change for you to talk more openly about your own emotions. And yeah, that's your money card. So the topic would be opening up about how hard it can be to accept support from other people. And that's the topic that other people will really relate to, John. So now I'm going to go back to the comments and see if there's other comments. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go through and star the ones I'm going to come back and catch. A question at the very beginning, and I starred it so I know I can find it. Okay, here it is. How do I deal with getting answers to a question that doesn't really happen? It gave you one possible outcome. I could sit here and lay stuff out all day. This might happen, that might happen, this might happen, that might happen. If the person never carries the impetus forward to make it happen, then my answer is going to be moot. And it's not my responsibility to make things turn out the way the cards say. It's a responsibility of the person I read. I hope that makes it clear. Someone finally caught one of my lives and she's excited. So am I. And Jen Miranda wanted to hear all about the parties I worked this weekend. Well, you heard about it. Hi, Gigi. It's good to see you back. I hadn't seen your name up for a while. Hi, Debbie. John is on the show. Hello, John. I hope you got my message. I used to go visit Honolulu. My parents retired there. And they lived there 7 or 8 years. Did one of my more interesting readings on Honolulu, which I won't go into because I don't have the lady's permission, but it was really interesting. Okay, what's this one? Got to go get rid of that banner. Back to comments. Yes, you can ask a personal question, but I'd get it in quickly because I'm going to cut it off at an hour. I'm taking the rest of this week off except to do one past life for a lady. And I'll talk to you about my schedule for the next couple weeks because I really been made very aware I need some time off. Will I be safe from attachments from my family in the future? Okay. I take it the ments disappeared because sometimes when I type, that happens too. Divergent moons. Okay. Will Divergent Moon be safe from attachments from her family in the future? Yes, you're on your way out. They never did get along with you and they never wanted to. They're very, very judgmental. You have someone riding along beside you, a younger person who's being very helpful, and you're learning how to rebalance your new sense of life. So, yeah, you're doing fine, Divergent Moon. And the dowsing I did today was with pendulums. And I'll get out the rods and I'll do a longer show on the pendulums. But when I started working with them yesterday, they started draining me, so I decided to make it clear. Will I get moved to Colorado or is it Arizona next spring? Christine wants to know. You can't get more yesy than this. And you're not going to miss the people you're leaving behind. But that you're leaving a difficult situation behind you where you're going to go, you're going to be much happier. It's going to happen suddenly. And this card definitely means when the chariot shows up, means you're moving. I don't, it may not even be Colorado or Arizona, Christine. It may be somewhere else. It could be there. I definitely feel it's west. Okay, Celtic Seers giving us a little bit of advice. This is a new moon in Libra, Mercury in Scorpio. Good time to review partnerships on all levels and any legal issues. Plant seeds in these areas. Good time for them to grow into fruition. Blessings. Thank you, Celtic Seer. Will my husband be approved for his visa? His interview is tomorrow. Okay. There's still some issues that are going to come up from the hierarchy around. There's something that hasn't been done, but he does. It looks like it's really in the right direction. It's going to. This card I'm going to read as a positive in this case, but there's going to be a slight delay because of this card. This is the government, and this is him. Some part of his paperwork isn't going to be completely right or whatever he has to say, but he's well on his way. He's a lot further than he was before. He's got a lot of the problems he had going on behind him in the back prior to now. I forgot to turn it off. Oh, my very best friend, scam likely. But it's just a slight delay. This just shows him not getting in the boat. Will he eventually get it? Yes. It may take as long as into the spring before they can activate it. Or he'll be here solidly in the spring, never. Or wherever his visa is taking him. There's just a lot of toing and froing going on. Tell him not to be discouraged. He has all the answers, and he knows he does. Okay. It's a long one. Okay. As an artist, what do I see? Is your career paths growing because you're tying it into your reading practice? Okay. Is your practice growing the way is your perception correct that your practice is growing? Okay. Stuff falling off my desk. Yes. It's growing and it's lifting a burden off of you by growing the way it has. You're not living with the delusions you used to live with before. Don't let it get you down and get you depressed. But yes, it's definitely changing. Okay. Marianne, I think one of the problems you've had in the past is when things get really going well for you, you really question it a whole lot and you let it bring you down. Don't look at the sunshine and say, okay, this is all moving fine. Yeah, here's somebody who's gone to Subteal and they've put together a book. I have a book. You have a book. I have a book. This book is it's a big notebook, but it's full of all the grids you can imagine. This is where I keep them so I can kind of flake through them and say, I'm going to pull this one, I'm going to pull this one. It's got a little bit of everything. And somebody else has done the work, so you don't need to, unless you just want to use your straight grids for yes, no's. Sometimes I spend more time looking for the grid to read than I do for the amount of time it takes me to get the answer. But good for you, Catherine. I'm glad to know you're using the information we get. And that's how you spell it, Subteal. You can just put that in a Google search and you'll find it. Jen Miranda wants to know about her elementals. Okay, find that sheet. Okay. What elementals are around Jen Miranda? Moss people. Moss people are like the plant people, the kind of plant people that would be in your plants. And this was sort of based off a British person's view, and they call some of their elementals different things than we do. So moss people are like fairies and elves and even nymphs in the water. That's who's around you. I won't read your your financial future on the elementals sheet. Okay. I'm going to ask if they're going to stay the same, Celtic Seer, because you didn't say would they improve or whatever. How are you going to fare? You worry about this way too much, and you feel very trapped by the financial situation you were in. A Celtic Seer, you know how it works. What we hold most in our mind is what we get. Your solution to this problem is that's Five of Swords reversed. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what someone's taking away from you. And the way actually this Five of Swords I read differently than most people. Most people read the Five of Swords. What I read it is you fought with all these tools, and now you figured out the tool you have that really works. And what this card's telling me is you're not working with the tool that really works, so you can improve it. There is a younger person out there who can help you, and they can help you get out of your period of stagnation. So take that for what it will be. I don't see it getting tons worse. I just don't see you're opening yourself up to the possibility it can get better. Okay. Thank you, Christy. Christy says thank you. I use wood burner. This is another way to do it. Someone did a wood burner thing and they made their own board, and you can do that. I saw the cutest little thing. It's like a desktop toy, and it has a pendulum on it. It's got a little yes, no, maybe sort of thing underneath. You can just hit it whenever you want, and you're not even touching it, and it'll give you an answer. So, there's all kinds of ways to do this, kids. Oh, John knows what songs I'm talking about. Ah, okay. John said he wrote a song to be to finish this album about being honest regardless of whether it's good or bad. That's kind of the feel I had in that reading I had for you, John. Okay. Silver Lining wants to know what's the best way with one's pendulum when learning. The labradorite one I purchased once seems to feel the best. Okay. Silver Lining, a couple things. If you have to go with your own senses, I feel better with my pendulum I've been using for 50 years than the other ones. Gee, imagine that. You have to use what one you feel good with. I had a friend who was looking for a pendulum, and I was with her in Colorado. It was 4 years ago. And we were walking through this store, and she walked past a whole display of crystal pendulums, and one swung out of the display. like swung towards her. So she came up and she told me about it. I said, "Do you know where it is?" And she said, "Yeah, I know exactly which one it is. I put it over in a space so I could find it again." And I went over and looked at it. I said, "It wants to go home with you. What's your problem? I mean, you're supposed to be sensitive, right?" But the other thing is to also ask if you have the right to dowse, if you have the permission to dowse, if it's a good day for you to dowse. And let's see. Yeah, Divergent Moon, I told you your family's not going to be able to get to you, so don't let them. They're similar, attachments and attacks. They can be very similar. And I'm looking for more questions. Okay. I'm going to type it. They're going to have to go find it. Or I can put it under my banners. I should have. I knew this would come up. Okay. And I think it's a .co. I don't think it's a .com. But if you put in subteal or if you just Google, and they call them dowsing charts. And I didn't spell charts right because my hands aren't working well today. Okay. That's it's, and it don't hold me to the, oh, and there's an extra, I put an extra L. It's SUBTIL. I'm sorry, guys. I just shouldn't do things when it's on the fly like this. I'm not good at that. You'll live. Okay, Debbie got good news. Oh, will I get good news? I thought, well, I already saw that you did, so. They don't have the answer yet. They're working on it, but it's going to be a wake-up call. This doctor's work with you is going to be a wake-up call. They're putting the answer together. That's what that card means for me. It's like we have all the pieces, we just don't know how to put them together. And they're trying to get you to not plant. 7 is a spirit. It's a spiritual trip for you kids. The transition isn't here yet. It's not quite there. It's not going to be rotten news, but they're going to need to do more work. It's not going to be the answer. Yeah. Here, somebody spelled it right. SUBTIL. Thank you, Divergent Moon. Okay, we're back to the elementals again. They're always a hot topic. Okay. What elementals are in Tammy's backyard? What are the elementals that are in Tammy's backyard? Guardian of the trees. Do you have a lot of trees there? They're guardians of the trees. Okay. What is their attitude about being approached to come in and interact with the human? Neutral to friendly. So what you just need to do is to go out and talk to them. That's how you can attract them, Tammy. Will I get a seasonal job at Target? Okay. Let's see, Callie. Will she get a seasonal job at Target? Okay. Yes, you're not going to get as many hours as you want. You're not going to get the position you want. You're not going to get as many hours you want, but the money will be there. And maybe once you get in there, they'll find out they need you more. I know a lot of stores are having a real hard time figuring out what to do. Okay. Somebody that I told had Moss people just wrote me and said, that's what I thought was out there. Why'd you ask me? Your dreams are interesting lately because the whole universe is interesting lately. I can't tell you, Catherine, I have never seen so many people. And I've done mass readings before where I would read 3, 4, 5 hours. I've done Halloween parties where I read from 6 in the evening till 2 in the morning back in my younger years. And I've never seen the layout of people all going through just incredibly positive changes. So you're not crazy. You're just living in this universe. Not doing health questions today because I'm not feeling well enough. How can I get to know my spirit guides? Talk to them. Say, I know you're here. Let me know who you are. And then listen to what they tell you. The worst thing people do is they ask for their spirit guides' help. And then they go, oh, that can't be real. You just asked for it. What can I say, Polly? That's the best way to deal with it. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, thank you. Bring out the proud mom in me. Yeah, he's doing good. Sean just put up his 200th show, and he just did a really in-depth look at where the No King's Day things were being held. It's fascinating because if you look at the numbers and then look at what percentage that represents of the population around them, the Republicans are in, I think they know they're in more trouble than they know. But when you see your where your most basic people are moving away and they're doing nothing to try and keep them anyway. I'm just saying, Sean and I had a good time. He's at CLSB Politics. Go look him up. CLSB. Sure, you can send me all the healing energy you want. That's fine. And with that, I'm going to close the questions because I got stuff I need to talk to you about. That's coming up. Okay. I am doing, get my banners. If you are more interested in grids and gridding, there's a booklet called Letter to Robin. It was written by Walt Woods. It's a free PDF download from my resources folder. This man wrote this years ago. He had been in correspondence with this young woman in the 80s, and they took all of his letters and what he wrote to her, and you will know more if you read that book. And if you really, really read that booklet, you can find out how to do everything that you could ever want to do with a dowsing chart. It's a brilliant book. He's a brilliant man. I have permission from his group that he was a part of to put that on my resources. It's been there for over 4.5 years, and I really hope people take advantage of using that resource. Or you can go buy books. I mean, there's all kinds of books about how to learn how to dowse. And one of the things I'm working on, coming events, is I'm going to build another world grid. I built one 3 years ago, and Tim Walter suggested I do that, and he does house healings in England. And Danny and Dr. Gale and Jeffrey and I kind of got together and we put it together, and I'm going to build another one, and I'll be we'll have a show where we're welcoming it into the world and on New Year's Eve on 2026. It's be interesting to see what we come up with for that grid. For those of you who are close enough to me in Dallas, I will be at Gretchen's, which is at 1914 Haskell Avenue. That's near the Target that's on Central Expressway, if you know Dallas. And I'm going to be there from 11 to 5 on next Friday and Saturday, which is part of the reason why I'm taking this week off, so I can build my strength up. And so you meet with me that way. And then to order readings from me directly, if you want a more detailed one-on-one reading, you can go to thecrystaldirections.com, go to the shop button. It's in the upper toolbar, and it will take you to the shop, and you can see all the things I'm doing. I am now accepting people placing appointments for their 12-month reading for 2026. If you're interested in that, please go there and do that. And the other thing that's there is, of course, my crystal grids, which, like I was saying, we're going to build it for 2026. And that's pretty much it, because I have no classes in the mix right now. So I'm just trying to work my life this way. So if you want to support me and you want to know how to get to figure things out, and if you need like a little help, a nudge with dowsing, if you get a reading, and it's one of my hour readings, we can talk about the specialized areas you might really be interested in. And there's my email where you can email me if you have more questions or comments. Okay, I gotta look at some comments came at the very. Somebody likes the idea of the grid for 2026. And this person's a retired metalsmith. You have a different view on minerals altogether than I do, in a way. Silver Lining, you can get Walt's book at my crystaldirections.com website. That's where you can find Walt Wood's book. I don't even know. I snatched that years ago off, and I've not been able to find it since. So if you want it, that's where it is. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. And I hope everyone has a lovely week. And I will, there's one person who has a reading tomorrow. And, my son's website. Okay. Well, that one I will. It's on YouTube. Done 200 shows. That's his show. Let's see. And remember, get permission. Think about it. Put thoughtful questions in. If you get an answer to a question to something that doesn't happen, then it just didn't happen. So don't worry about it. and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.